What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to go over the Games Radar interview with Warner Bros. Montreal. We got a bunch of Gotham Knights info. I know a lot of people had sent it to me. This, I believe, happened on Friday. I know I'm a little late to the party, but every single site, seemingly under the sun, has taken it. They've gone with the whole, they've completely redone the combat as kind of like the going point, right, as to talk. So I want to go over all of it. I want to try and focus on some things that maybe not everybody is going to focus on. I'll try to make this a little bit different than other videos or other articles you may have read on it. Okay, so we're going to go through kind of the whole thing. I'm going to kind of pick and choose what I want to talk about, and we'll go from there. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel if you guys like this kind of stuff. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all of these videos go up. I do like 3 to 4 videos a day. I do Gotham Knights stuff every 3 to 4-ish days. Try to give you guys super consistent content on this game. And if you guys want to join our Discord server, the link for that is in the description below. Lots of people that like Gotham Knights or in the Batman Arkham community are already there and would love to have you guys there as well. Again, the link for that is in the description below. All right, I want to start with maybe a slight negative first, and I know that's probably going to turn people off immediately, so maybe it's a bad idea, but I'm going to go with my gut here. I want to talk about the ending of this article. So again, I'm going to be kind of jumping around a little bit, but towards the end, they talk about the switching of characters, okay? And again, I think this is something that a lot of people have pointed out before, and here's the thing. We know a lot of this. They've already talked about this in the month, like around DC Fandom. Remember when they did the press tour for like a solid week, and like they interviewed every single every publication, I should say, interviewed them like under the sun. And what we learned is and I'll read it out loud. Since the story progression is shared between all the characters, it also makes sense that you don't have to level them up from scratch every time you want to switch. It also stays very coherent in terms of our narrative. Marty continues, since the other members of the Batman family are always present in some way in the background while you're out in the world fighting crime or unraveling the mystery, they don't stay inactive. So it makes sense they're also progressing and getting stronger. So pretty much that's in reference to, if you're playing Batgirl, you want to switch to Nightwing. Nightwing will be the exact same level that you were as Batgirl, okay? She'll be the same kind of area that you were, so you'll be able to pick up kind of seamlessly. Now, I do like that. I will say that. Compared to, because I know this is going to be brought up, compared to like Avengers, that is kind of a cool thing where this is a kind of a story-driven thing, although I have questions about that, and we'll talk about that in this video. I'm sure we'll talk about that as we get closer to the game. It's more story-oriented. It's more about keeping the pace of the game going, and so if you are doing Batgirl and you have to just switch to Night, or you want to switch as Nightwing, and now all of a sudden you are completely under-leveled, it doesn't exactly work. Now, I would argue that because the enemies are leveled according to you, it actually doesn't matter, and so I don't necessarily think, some of these things don't exactly matter just in the grand scheme of things, but I do like that. But here's a funny thing, just a funny thing I want to point out really quickly at the bottom here. This is Games Radar that's saying this. This isn't Warner Bros. Montreal. This design decision serves 2 purposes. First, it ensures we won't be spending all of our time stuck in the Belfry arguing with a friend over who will get to play as Barbara Gordon. Secondly, there won't be any need to grind through experience for character unlocks and levels. Enemies will scale to your progression level too, ensuring we'll always feel free to experiment with different heroes and other unique playstyles, weapons, and abilities. Okay, so that second part is what I just said, right? The level grinding, pretty much. But the first part is funny because they're wrong. They're wrong, and I don't think they know that they're wrong. Remember, you could have 2 people play as the same character, and I'm only going to say this right now. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to explain much more. When the game was first announced, they had said that you can play as the same character as somebody else online. So if I'm playing as Batgirl and you want to play with me, and by the way, I will be playing with the community when the game comes out, and so you want to play as Batgirl, well, guess what? We can both play as Batgirl. Now, I had said back then in August, I despise that. I hate that. I got a lot of hate for that. I got a lot of people in the comments, a lot of people in general did not like my opinion on that. I think more people are waking up right now to seeing that that's probably not a good idea. That ruins the realism. That ruins any sort of thing I think they're building with this game. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it right there. They're wrong, though. It does ensure that we won't be arguing as Barbara, because in reality, we both can. There's no scenario in which one of us can and the other can't. You can play as this exact same character as the other one. I think that's going to break it. Imagine fighting Mr. Freeze or talking to Mr. Freeze, and there's 2 Batgirls there, and he's talking to us. Completely, immersion is the word. It breaks the immersion 100%. I said that back in August. People got mad. I'm going to leave it there. Okay. Okay, I want to talk about the next thing. I'm actually going to probably just go up the article instead of down. I'm backwards in that way. The game allows you to switch to a different character pretty much at any time you want, as long as you go back to the Belfry to do so, which is kind of contradictory. With the Batcave destroyed the moment Code Black was initiated, the Belfry is the new base of operations for the Gotham Knights. This is where you'll go in the daytime to regroup and rest. Push the narrative forward as you accept new challenges and missions and tinker with your hero's suits, weapons, gear, and playstyle build. When night falls and you're ready to go back out on patrol, you'll be able to head back out into Gotham as one of the characters without any fear of being under-leveled or prepared. So, man, here's the deal. I've been covering Gotham Knights for a long time. I'm normally very positive on Gotham Knights, and maybe people are used to that. I gotta be honest, the first two things I've talked about in this video, right, we're however many minutes into the video, we're like 5-6 minutes in, I've only said negative things. I'm sorry about that. I'm not a big fan of what this sounds like either. And I get it. What it sounds like is it's going to kind of be like an extended loading screen where there'll be like maybe like crimes that happen around the city and we click on them and we say like accept mission, stuff like that. Again, like we change the gear, we change that kind of stuff. Fine. Do we have to do that? Can we accept missions when... So here's the thing. I don't necessarily have anything wrong with what they said here. The thing I don't want, though, is can we do these things on the fly? Can I equip a different gear set when I'm out on the streets? Will there be a random crime and I'll just be able to go to it and accept it on the fly? Or do I have to always go back to the Belfry, always equip the new gear? Is that how you do levels? Like, can I only do abilities at the Belfry? Can I not do it just while I'm out? You know what I mean? So if it's like that, to me, that slows down the speed of the game. That takes me out of it. It's like, okay, well, I need kind of an extended long loading screen to level up, to equip gear, to pick my missions, and then I go back out at night, and then now I'm back into it. But if I want to do anything new to myself, to my character, when I'm at night doing stuff, I can't. I have to go back to the Belfry. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Hopefully I'm reading it wrong because I don't want that to be the case. You know what I mean? I want to be out on the city like the entire time. Very little time do I want to be. And because I also, by the way, and this is important I think for a lot of you guys too, I think we all, for the most part, maybe not everybody, we probably gonna main somebody. You know what I mean? We may switch. I mean, I'm gonna try and probably switch just to kind of get a feel for each character, but I expect to play as Batgirl like most of the time. Like that's gonna be my main. So I really have no need to go to the Belfry to switch characters. But if I need to go to the Belfry to equip stuff for Batgirl, if I need to go to the Belfry to accept missions, well, that's going to be a little bit messier. You know what I mean? I guess the last thing is that whole, again, like the co-op, the two-player dynamic fits the fantasy of Gotham Knights. So, again, they're talking about how the co-op combat and just the combat in general is going to be a little similar. You're going to be able to see some, similarities to the past Arkham games, but in reality, it is completely, redone, and you are going to see a lot of absolutely brand new things. And I think we understand that. I think that, and so this is the kind of the positive thing. I'm okay with that. I love the Arkham, the freestyle or the free-flowing, whatever you want to call it, that combat. I really, really do. It seems like Batgirl is going to play like that, and we've heard that before, right? That she plays more traditionally towards like Batman, so you are gonna feel it. But even in the gameplay we saw of Robin, and you imagine Nightwing and Red Hood, by the way, too, they are gonna play pretty drastically different, right? And you have like the tag team kind of takedowns that you can do for characters. It is more of an RPG thing, and again, they talked about that this is a very RPG heavy thing. So it'll be interesting to see how it all works. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt just because I think, even again, if you want to compare it to Avengers, I think the combat of Avengers is actually like the best thing. Okay, it's just the lack of characters that we're facing, like the enemies that we're facing. One other thing I want to say, and it's how they built the game, which is actually a little confusing to me. And they said this: even when we had the outline of our central mystery, we forced ourselves to focus on characterization first and how that should shape not only narrative and performances, but the action set of each of the four heroes, says Redding. We looked at the overall tone of our Gotham City and used that to decide which supporting cast and villains we should build the game around. That became the foundation. It shaped the game's systems, and then we built the game's story and found our cast of characters to work on top of that. So that's interesting to me. I don't know if that's the right, and like this is a question to you guys. I don't really know if it's a right thing or wrong thing to do something like that. So what it seems like is they knew they were going to do the Batman thing. They knew they were going to do the 4 Gotham Knights thing, and they knew they were going to do the Court of Owls thing. But everything else, they kind of looked at how they were designing Gotham City and saying, okay, like Mr. Freeze works because we can translate it, we can change it and transform it basically into like a winter wonderland, right? Where he's at the center and all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting. I wouldn't like when I first read that, I kind of took it more as a negative, but the more I'm thinking about it, I really, maybe it's like I kind of don't even care, but I'm kind of seeing it as like both, like it's a positive and a negative. I think what it means for like us when we're speculating, so like all of us are kind of speculating villains, right? I get asked like every other day, what villains do you want to see in this game, right? At this point, it actually now seems like whenever we ask that question, we should say, all right, well, how is the city built? So how I think of that is like, okay, if you want Joker in this game, how would he affect the city? How does he work inside the city? Is he going to be like taking over a large plot of land? How does he dynamically change the city, right? Stuff like that. That's how I kind of see Mr. Freeze. So like Mr. Freeze, again, like he literally can transform the entire city into being snow, and he can make all these like glaciers and stuff like that. So like that's something very big that is very transformative of the city that they did, and it fits the overall feel, right? So again, like if you want like Calendar Man, or you know what, like come up with an obscure villain in Batman, if you want them, I think you got to make a case for how would they work in the city that is seemingly being built by Warner Bros. Montreal, because they're not building the game around, and that's the thing. That's what you can look at as positive or negative. They're not saying, okay, we want the 4 Gotham Knights, we want Batman, we want Court of Owls. So that is what they did, okay? But they didn't then say, and we want these 15 villains. Let's build the game and the world around that. No, they did the opposite. They had the core, they had the world, and they said, okay, which villains work best in this world? Okay, so that could eliminate some villains that we may want, like and maybe it elevates others, like Poison Ivy. Think about how Poison Ivy would work. That would actually be really easy because it would be like a Mr. Freeze situation. No, I'm not saying they have to have elemental powers and they have to change literally the weather forecast of Gotham. You know what I mean? But they have to, I think, do something that's very transformative of the city, where it's like maybe even that eliminates like Two-Face. Like maybe he doesn't do enough to alter what the city is. You know what I mean? So they're like, we can do other characters. You know what I mean? So I think it's interesting. Like it may not be a good thing, it may not be a bad thing. Like that's up to, I think, us to kind of just decide on our own. But I do think it's very interesting, and I kind of like that approach, because we'll have to see how it ends up shaking out. We'll have to see which villains they end up having in this game when we play it. You know what I mean? So hopefully this was a different video. I do think I talk very differently than anybody else. I do think I tackle things differently than anybody else. So hopefully this was different than other people's videos, than other people's articles, kind of recapping this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What do you think about any part of the article? Maybe things that I missed, things I said maybe you don't agree with. Let me know. As always, again, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. And again, if you guys want to join our Discord server, link for that is in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope to see you all on the next video.